How the heck is federal minimum wage in America still $7.25, and why won't the government raise it? Many state governments did raise the minimum wage. 30 states have higher min wages than that. Because it's cheaper to buy politicians than it is to pay a living wage. There are also a lot of places, like in rural Tennessee, where you will have a hard time finding a job, such as McDonald's, that isn't paying $13 14 hours. Because their major donors employ lots of minimum wage workers. All the fast food places around here are offering like $15, $17. So it would change literally nothing. Why would they raise it if they don't have to? Probably the only valid argument is that raising the minimum wage will absolutely lead to inflation or widespread layoffs. Companies aren't going to give more money away, so they will just have fewer employees, and then unemployment rates go up or raise prices on their products. God forbid some multi-millionaire take a pay cut or have to miss out on buying a new yacht. Simple. $7.25 is the minimum for a reasonable life in certain places across the country. Wages are typically higher in locations where the cost of living is higher. For example, Knoxville. It's pretty easy to get a job at $15 per hour, even though the average is likely lower. Lowest I ever worked here for was $8.75 per hour. Cost of living isn't that bad here as long as you're not living in the city. They have no incentive to. PPL will work for that wage, so why raise it? This way those big corporations will have more money for bribes. Why I moved from Texas to NYC. Who's gonna make M? The minimum wage is the way that it is because the right wing has gaslit the country into believing that the minimum wage is not supposed to be enough to live on, even when it was clearly created to do just that. It wouldn't benefit either side if the serfs could relax. $15 is years too late, and we like scrambling for the ledge in this country. I don't think the United States government makes decisions because they're in the best interest of the people. They make decisions that are in the best interests of large corporations who pay them lots of money when they campaign, help them with investments and market manipulation, and give them and their friends and family good jobs. Because companies hold the politicians by the nuts. Because late-stage capitalism is entirely dependent on a desperate lower class. Because the oligarchy is the true constituency of the political class. Money is speech, and corporations are the only people that matter. Corporations and Republicans. Not everyone supports a federal minimum wage, much less a higher one. Raising the minimum wage has implications for social programs everywhere. Once you admit the poverty line has gone up, then more people qualify for social programs, and that's expensive. Well, a bunch of states raised minimum wage and they aren't any better off than before. Raising minimum wage doesn't mean everyone gets raises. It means they fire half the staff and then give raises to the rest. All while raising prices to compensate. It's not morally right. But it's the world we live in. Because our politicians, which are owned by the people not wanting to pay a livable wage, say no. Raising it will make billionaires cry over them losing 0.01 of their wealth. They will literally go on Fox News with tears running down their faces crying about how raising the min wage is just more proof of the hatred towards the wealthy. Basically, at some point in the last 20 years, some right-wing weirdos decided that the minimum wage is actually bad and that we should never raise it ever. Those people continue to hold ample power in our society and continue to be the ones writing the laws. Because conservative Americans and neoliberals have been convinced by decades of corporate propaganda that doing anything to help poor people is bad. If you don't like a job, you can apply somewhere else. Because raising federal minimum wage would destroy small businesses in some states. Raising the minimum wage increases unemployment. Perhaps that's why higher minimum wage business can't afford as many employees. So less people will be able to work and we see a higher unemployment rate. The thinking goes that the higher you raise the minimum wage, the fewer people that will actually be employed. So is 2 people making $10 an hour better than 1 making $20 an hour? Obviously, this is a very political question. It's less important, but there's also the argument that no one actually makes minimum wage. Outside of maybe high schoolers. Just about everyone should command a higher wage. Of course, this says nothing about whether that wage is actually livable or not. 7.25 an hour is 1049 Japanese yen. This is nearly 30 yen higher than minimum wage in Tokyo, Japan. 1019 yen, $7.10. One of the most expensive cities in the world. I'd say a rural worker in Alabama being guaranteed higher minimum wage than a service sector employee in Tokyo, Japan is a win for US. Or at least it is not unreasonable at all. Republicans. It's not changed because they lack the political will or desire to raise it. That's it. Absolutely. We are all losing a lot of standard of living currently. Think carefully about voting for someone who is not a Dem or Republican. Answer: when the majority of government reps and House are the party that works towards the betterment of the rich, the people continue to get screwed. This is why it's incredibly important for people to be very involved in voting in representatives that actually want to do better for their people. Sounds like slavery with extra steps. Because our 2 parties are conservative right-wing and fascist right-wing. Capitalism. Easy answer. America has been installing the idea that the trickle-down economy works, but in reality the top keeps majority of the money due to greed and we fight for scraps on the bottom. Man, you are talking about a country in which half of the population doesn't think their friends, neighbors, and family deserve affordable access to basic health care. America is a shit country full of shit and really fucking stupid people. Because they want to stub out the middle class. They want working class and the one to be completely separate. Why do you think your rent, university, and hospital bills are extortionate, while wages are stagnant? That's not designed by accident. A very small portion of people make minimum wage anywhere in the country. Raising MW, it's a useless conversation that affects very few people in actuality. We should be talking about raising median wages. Because we have a little thing called freedom. A corporation is free to pay low wages. But as a result, they're also free to go bankrupt due to employees not working for them. It allows for workers to negotiate wages, unionize for better conditions and pay and such, instead of relying on government overreach to do that for ya. Some people only worth $7.25 an hour. Flame me all you want. Inflation is bad enough already, let's not make it worse. It doesn't even matter because prices will increase, landlords will increase. Because in certain states, especially ones that have lower living conditions, it would be bad for the businesses.